John O'Mara, Northborough Tea Party. I'd like to talk very briefly today about an issue you've heard several times mentioned today. That's Common Core. For those of you who are not totally familiar with it, in a nutshell, we're talking about the feds taking over our educational system. It is really about key issues that we don't have to get into the weeds to discuss. But number one, we are talking about losing control at the local level. The federal bureaucracy is going to end up calling the shots from Washington, D.C. If we have a problem locally, we have to touch base in Washington. Number two, we're going to spend millions of dollars to lower our standards here in Massachusetts. We are a world-class leader in education, and with this implementation, if it's finally implemented, this is going to cost us millions of dollars to dumb down. By the way, this is, for those of you who are not totally clear on this, back in 2010, this whole program was mandated. Actually, the administration bribed the various states to implement this program. Right now, about 45 states have it underway. Several states have opted out. As people find out more and more about this program, we become more and more concerned. Right now, they're here in Massachusetts. We have put together a group called Common Core Forums. It's going to be rolled out shortly. It is going to be a statewide organization working at the local level, at the town level, establishing chapters throughout the state. But let me get back to one of the other points about Common Core, which is really nasty. They're going to be doing what they call data mapping. Every student is going to be subject to a huge amount of data collection. Right now, there's certainly reasonable information being collected, but over 400 data elements will be captured. This is called social engineering. The administration or the feds are going to take it upon themselves to essentially determine career paths of students. This is scary. I mean, this is 1984, and the notion that we will be giving up the right to choose our own career paths is frightening. Now, by the way, we have Sam Blumenthal here today. Sam has spent the bulk of his career in education. What is your sense, Sam, about this Common Core?
Well, the pure and simple, the Common Core is just the face of a national education system. It's going to be Cuban-style education in which all teachers will become federal employees. That's the end of it at all. So we're going to have a minister of education, like any communist state, will be similar to North Korea, Cuba, and that's the aim. That's the final aim, and they're using Common Core as one of the means to get there. Also, Common Core is like financial boondoggle. You see, doctors of education are useless people. There's no way that they can earn a living except by extorting money from the taxpayer. So Common Core is going to cost billions of dollars and not make a smidgen of improvement in education.
Worse than that. Worse than that.
It's a racket.
Yes. But this is a huge problem. On the other hand, it's a great opportunity. I think Dean alluded to this earlier. If our Republican candidates can latch on to this issue, which is under the radar for most Americans today, this is a nonpartisan issue. It's about the kids. If we can include this in candidates' platforms, it's a winner. And in this critical time frame, 2014, we need a winner. And I would urge candidates to think seriously about becoming smart on this issue. It doesn't require a lot. I mean, we have Sandra Stotsky, we have Jamie Gass from the Pioneer Institute. They're going around the state. We had in Northborough just last week, over 100 people, standing room only, to listen to these folks. And one person came back and said, after I heard that, I haven't been able to sleep well that night. Yep. So it's a question of educating. Once we get the word out there, it'll be easy So please, candidates, we have several of them here today, think seriously about using this as a major breakthrough in your political.
All right, questions? Yeah, Dan?
You know, I hear a lot about this here, but under Governor Weld, the Republican, wasn't the first step of the communities losing control of the schools when they put the Educational Reform Act in? Because now the school committees have nothing to say. That means the people have nothing to say. The only thing that you have to deal with is the superintendent and the unions. So it was done under a Republican administration, the first step.
Yeah, well,
So now we're complaining that they're going further. But it's always the Republicans that started.
If you wait much longer, you won't have an opportunity. So
But the
if you don't-
Republicans
but
started.
it
So what
is-
we gonna
All right,
do?
all right, let him
It's really
fit.
not important who started. Right now, it's about what we're gonna do about it.
Let's get the power back to the school
The
committees.
parents.
All right,
Okay.
yes. Way up back, Ken?
This is a prime example of one of my favorite quotes from one of my favorite politicians, LBJ. He says, you don't look at legislation in the light of the good it can do when it's interpreted and implemented by good people. You look at it and you evaluate it in the light of the harm it can do when it's implemented and interpreted by bad people. And this is exactly what you've got with Common Core. It starts off as a nice idea about how we're going to set up some standards and everything. And it would be a great idea, except government gets involved. And whenever government gets involved, you can guarantee it's going to be the wrong people, because they're the people who are always in favor of more government control. That's what government is. And so, once again, you know, you've got a good idea, it starts out, and, well, now we're going to coerce and nudge and everything else, force everybody to do it the way that we see best.
All right, Judy, you have a question.
It's not so much a question. I was at one of the presentations this week. My husband and I went to Watertown. Dr. Stansky was there. I would urge and encourage, plead with everyone who has the opportunity to go and listen to one of these presentations. The history you get, briefly, it started way back in the Bush administration, but when Obama came in and took it over and became Common Core, you are losing your literature. I'm a teacher, I have 8 grandchildren in the system. This frightens me to death. You're losing your literature, you're losing control, and you can take it back now, but we can't wait much longer. Go to your school committees, go to the parents.
All right, Ed?
Two quick questions. Number one, I noticed that they're dumbing down the SATs, which I think is a real reflection on how dangerous this is. But even more so, you were saying that they're collecting big data on our students. My God, is this a theme today or what? I mean, they're connecting financial data, health data, education data. How much data does the federal government need on every one of us?
Larry, you got a question?
Yeah, John, Larry Schmeiser. How are the universities, especially the major alumni associations, reacting to Common Core?
Well, it's a legitimate objective. First of all, in the development of all these standards, key people were excluded. It is not a transparent development at all.
It's sworn to secrecy.
It's yes, and I mean, there's so much to this that I don't have the time to go into the detail.
Are they objecting to it? That's what I'm asking.
No, I think that no, they're not, because we're still in the early part of the growth stage as far as awareness.
John, thank you.
Yes, okay.
Barbara?
Thank you, Chip. Actually, we're partners. We joined CLT about the same time, and we run it together. But Chip was nice enough to say I can speak today. He gets nervous when I speak. This was a great thing, because everybody who spoke before me are people I agree with, and maybe the concern that I have that I may be asked if I can speak is behind us now. But nevertheless, I already thought about it, so I'm going to be here. My theme on the sheet, on the agenda, is can't we all just get along? All right, can we just get together and win? Now, I don't want you to think that by all, I mean we have to get along with liberals and all those people, because that's not what we're for. But Chip should mention at some point that the last time I was here was in 2010. And it was that I was speaking here, of course I come all the time, but I was speaking just before the 2010 election. And I'm not sure why, it was a couple weeks before the election. I do remember saying something about why am I the only car that's covered with bumper stickers, and it's 2 weeks before the election. But I understand that some people are afraid to put bumper stickers on their vehicles. I've never had a problem, and at the moment, my car has, first of all, still my Rich to Say for Congress, which I just kept there because I figured he would run again. And then I've got, of course, Charlie and Karen right below that, and my Prop 2.5. I love Prop 2.5, and you try not to be sarcastic or anything because you don't want to impact your candidates, so you don't put anything too outrageous on your bumper sticker with the names of your candidates. But I do like that. How's that Hope Change thing working for you? So that's been on there for, well, since Obama was elected. And then, of course, our CLT bumper sticker, which is the frog being swallowed by the stork, and the frog is holding on, and the words are never give up. So that's pretty much what I want to talk about, is never giving up, because I know a lot of people were getting very discouraged after the last election, and certainly I was, when Obama won again, incredibly, and when my candidate for Congress did not win, Rich to Say. So some of our legislative candidates won, so some good things do go on in this state, but we have to win this time. 2010 was an interesting campaign. Elections are always interesting. I've been involved since I started voting in when I turned 21. Back then it was 21. And I always enjoyed politics, and I always enjoyed elections, but now I'm just scared. So if there's anyone in this room who does not think that 2014 and 2016 are elections that could end America as we know it, if you aren't as scared as I am, you can probably leave early today, because what I'm going to say may not have any meaning to you at all, but I'm scared because I have grandchildren, and they live in Nevada, so while I'm still focused on Massachusetts, Citizens for Limited Taxation is focused on Massachusetts, CHIPS PAC is going to be supporting a lot of candidates. My real concern is the country, because my grandchildren don't live here. And Massachusetts will survive or not survive, and I don't care all that much, even though I want to continue to stay here. And I'm supporting Charlie as I have since I met him when he was just a kid, and was clearly governor material back then. So I'm worried, I'm scared, and otherwise the thing I'm going to talk about wouldn't matter, because we've gone through a lot of elections with all the different points of view. We either win or we lose, and that's just the way it is. Now it matters a lot. You know, I thought we were finally together and focused already. I thought we had all kind of, in our own minds or with our own little groups, had decided that this was going to be the election where we focused on what we could use to win. I really believe that. I'm an optimist by nature, and I always assume the best. And if you ask me at any time if my candidates on my car are going to win the election, I would say yes. Don't take that too seriously. I always say yes. I'm always devastated when they lose, but I get over it. I wasn't getting it over so fast this last time. And so something is wrong, and one of the things that is wrong are the weapons we hand our opponents to use against our candidates. And we can't afford to do that anymore. So I was shocked, I was horrified when I saw the Republican platform. I just thought everyone understood we're not going to talk about abortion or gay marriage. I thought everyone understood that. And there it was in the platform and in the Boston Globe, where I know a lot of you don't read the Globe, but I have to, because that's how I find out what's going on. The Globe drives the agenda, drives the conversation. The opinion makers, the people who formulate the debates our candidate's going to be in, all those people read the Globe, and this issue that Republicans are anti-choice and anti-gay was in the Globe 5 times in 10 days. Either a whole story about it, front page Metro, or mentioned when they were talking about our candidates, and then by the way, Charlie Baker's going to have a problem because the Republicans are anti-choice and anti-gay, and he's not. And then a column follows. So this is, people who say this is going to go away, it's not going to go away. The Democrats already, the Democrat State Committee that puts together the flyers that go out the week before the election, attacking our candidates, all of them, legislative and all the way up. they already have the language written. Republicans platform, anti-gay, anti-woman. And that's gonna go out, regardless of what we do. So we have to do everything we can to make sure that people understand it isn't true. That the Republican, this was a small group within the Republican State Committee. It is not Republicans, it certainly isn't independents. It isn't the people who we have to have voting with us in November, or it's the beginning of the end of America. And I hate to say that because it sounds like I'm hysterical or exaggerating, but I don't think I am. I've been doing this for a long time, and I've never been scared before. But I used to wonder, conservative, what does the word conservative mean? Why do we call ourselves conservative? It had no real meaning. I didn't understand that what we were trying to conserve is America, because I really didn't think that America had that big a problem. I mean, it's been creeping up on us, this thing and that thing, and we fight it, but I never really thought we were seriously in trouble as a country until now. And now I understand conservative means we've got to conserve America for our grandchildren, for my grandchildren. So now that I understand that, it all made sense last week, and to get to the good news right away, when David Jolly just won the election in Florida. Now, some of you, I hear you're nodding, but some may not have heard this because the mainstream media really isn't covering it. This was an upset by a Republican conservative in Florida against a Democrat liberal. And he won, according to everything I could find on the internet, by talking about conservative issues. Two of them, Obamacare and amnesty. And that's how he won. And Mark Levin, anyone listen to Mark Levin tonight at 7 o'clock on RKO? He was, did a piece the other night about the race, the Jolly race, and how he won. And he said only problem he had with it is, along with talking about the Obamacare and amnesty, he wished he talked more about other conservative issues. And then he mentioned them. The unfunded liabilities, the national debt, these issues on top of amnesty and Obamacare. He didn't mention abortion. He didn't mention gay issues. Just talked about conservative issues, except for those. I was just looking at the flyer by our new candidate here. I think you all have a copy of it here in my material. But all he has on his flyer, our new candidate, is these issues, these fiscal issues, these good government issues, conservative issues. He's got it right. And I'm hoping everybody is going to have it right. But one thing we're all missing, and I'll bet a lot of you haven't seen this, the Republican Party platform, the whole thing. Have any of you ever, besides the Republicans, you have to see this platform. This is one of the most amazing pieces. I don't know if they sat down and spent years putting this together, because it's perfect.
Is it online?
Somebody sent it to me. So I don't know if it's on the Republican State Committee, but it should be. But yeah, try to get it because it has all the issues that are involved in, the Republicans are involved in. Nice preamble, leading into how Massachusetts should be better. The economy, all the stuff that we keep hearing everyone talk about, that's an important issue. Accountability, how about this sentence? Government exists to serve, not prey upon, the people it represents. Isn't that a bad sentence? Then, of course, the thing that's close to Chip and I, we support the public ballot initiative as a way for the people of Massachusetts to work their will. We love ballot initiatives. We especially support initiatives repealing taxes, setting term limits, and slowing the expansion of government. That's the Republican platform. Any of you hear about that during all the news coverage of the Republican? Oh, next, compassionate governance. And I'm not really into that compassion stuff, but it's a good thing. I don't have compassion for that. I just got fed up. Education. Section on education. Sam, you would love this. We support parents' right to choose. We believe that cap on charter schools should be lifted. That's how timely this platform is, all the latest issues. Listen to this, see how timely. Reject federal attempts to impose federal standard and curriculum such as Common Core. That's in the Republican platform 2014. So they're already out ahead on that issue. Hear anything about that when the platform committee announced its platform? Nope, didn't hear anything about that. All they were talking about was part, that's at the end. Energy, we oppose any attempt to enact to increase energy taxes. Good little section there. Nice little section on the environment. Healthcare, of course. We support replacing the Affordable Care Act with solutions that make more sense. Or, if we can't do that, we support providing a waiver to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Healthcare, taxes and spending. You have to see this section on taxes and spending. We support a reduction in the state sales tax and demand that our legislature comply with the voter-mandated reduction of the state income tax to 5%. That's what the Republican about that in the platform release. We oppose the indexing of any tax to the rate of inflation. Aha, where did that come from? A 2/3 vote of the legislature should be required in order to raise taxes. We've always liked that. That would require a constitutional amendment. Then there's a section on justice. Again, very timely. We believe that the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court's decision striking down the possibility of life without parole for juvenile murderers goes too far. Just one of those issues where they say you shouldn't, that these juveniles commit these horrendous crimes should be treated differently because their young adolescent brains haven't developed yet. Well, I know a lot of young adolescents and clearly their brains haven't developed yet, but they are running around murdering people. So that's very timely. We support the court's option of imposing the death penalty with strict safeguards for first-degree murder cases. We believe the heart of liberty begins with the freedom of speech. We support, this is for Jim, we support and pledge to uphold the individual right to keep and bear arms as a basic right to protect one's life and property. That's right in the Republican platform. We believe our immigration system is broken. We believe existing laws should be enforced. We oppose the issuance of driver's license to illegal aliens. That's in the Republican platform. The symbol of national unity to which we pledge allegiance is the American flag. Now, that's the Republican platform all the way up to values. Nothing in there that any of us disagree with. Nothing in there that's a problem at all. Nothing that we can convince the majority of voters in Massachusetts to support, and hopefully in the rest of the country. And then at the end, somebody had to put in, we affirm the inherent dignity and sanctity of human life. We believe that every instance of abortion is tragic. That may sound innocuous to you. It reads as, we oppose women's choice, women's right to choose. We would like to repeal Roe v. Wade. That's how it reads. That's how the Democrats will use it against our candidates. And our candidates will be on defense immediately. We believe the institution of traditional marriage strengthens our society, period. Nothing about other marriages that strengthen our society, like gay marriages. So the clear message is, we do not support gay marriage. We're opposed to it. Let's all talk about that for the next 6 months, instead of all the other issues in this wonderful, amazing platform. So, that takes us to, what can we do about it? There's a platform that's what a small group of people who are Republicans put into it. Now there's something, I know I have a lot of things that I used to think, I don't think anymore, I've learned better. But I really did think, and I hate it when I don't understand something. I thought that if you ran for the state committee, that you were now becoming a part of the party establishment, the people who are, inside the Republican Party people, and that their goal, I feel silly saying this, that their goal is to win elections for Republicans. That's what I thought. I mean, there are a lot of Republicans out there, not many actually, there's more independents like me, but there are a lot of Republicans who have all kinds of opinions, including on social issues. But by the time you went to state committee, you seem to be focusing your attention on the idea that Republicans should run for office and win so that we, the party, can have some influence and power. Where did I go wrong? Yeah. How is this not true? So, the people who are in the party, instead of thinking, what can we win with? What can we give our candidates to win with? And they did that. They gave them a wonderful platform. Allow the attention to be focused on the two things we cannot win with, we will never win with, especially in Massachusetts. Why would they want to take those issues out there and give a weapon to our enemies, who will then run people who not only disagree, you'll have a chance, will not only disagree with them on this issue, but every other issue. So what have they gained by electing the Democrat? So, we'll do all the questions in a minute. So then moving on to the Tea Party, because now I'm kind of lost, and I don't know what to do about the Republicans, and I'm not a Republican anymore. I was a very Goldwater Republican once, but I have no way to impact the convention. But I'm hearing from some people there might be a way to change this language or substitute an earlier platform that doesn't have it. And I don't know, again, because I'm not a party person. That's not exactly true. I am a Tea Party person, have been my whole life. And certainly Citizens for Limited Taxation is a Tea Party organization since Chip and I started in 1978. How many times have we been down to the harbor tossing tea in? We were down with Grover Norquist. We were there with Newt Gingrich one year. He was running for something. We came down and tossed his tea. And we've been there with Bill Weld,
Yep.
Paul Salucci. So we've done our share of tossing tea. And so when I say I'm a Tea Party from way back, that's what I am. But the Tea Party is about fiscal issues. Tea, taxation, standing up to big government. That's why they use the word Tea Party instead of another broader word like conservative or Republican. So I have this great new book, The Tea Party Explained, From Crisis to Crusade, by Yuri Maltsev and Roman Skaskal. I don't know who they are, but they were this really great analysis and understanding piece of Tea Party.
Barbara, a couple minutes.
Right, I'm just gonna give you one small part of it, which I really like. It's called, well, it's under the category Tea Party baggage, because that's a whole big discussion. The original Boston Tea Party was, of course, a tax protest, thus the title Tea Party. Fits fiscal conservatives much more than social conservatives or foreign policy hawks. The roots of the Tea Party were libertarian, which is what I am, a libertarian. Fiscal conservatives quickly joined the libertarians of 2009, and social conservatives, together with neoconservatives, followed once the movement achieved prominence. So I'm happy to listen to Jim Morose. He seemed to be saying the same thing that I've been saying. And other Tea Party leaders I've talked with. We lost the Tea Party in the Middle Shore because it was taken over by social conservatives and everyone quit, including me. But now it's coming back. I went to my first meeting in months, years maybe. Great meeting the other night, packed with people who want to get out there and fight to save America. And I'm hoping that all of us will be on that same page where I thought we all were, fighting for that agenda, because we have to win in 2014, and we have to win in 2016, or we may not get another chance. Thank you very much.
Okay, Ed.
Yeah, Barbara, to me, there's a crazy question that I understand that people have to talk and write things down. Why the hell is there a platform when every individual candidate has his own platform? So what the heck are we doing with a platform in the first place? I don't care if I agree with everything on it, and I'm a social conservative. I agree with those languages, but that's not my place to force candidates into something that they don't want to defend. I mean, Richard has his own platform, you know? Richard is going to win or lose on his platform. Why are we saddling him with other baggage? I don't get the point of the platform is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't either, but then as I said, I'm not a party person,
Right.
so the Tea Party doesn't have a platform. But, well, and it's just as well, because Tea Party people are individuals, and we all agree on certain things, and Republicans, by definition, agree on certain things. I don't know why, but that's what you do. I guess
Jeff,
you have to
Jeff.
Parties, I don't know.
Barbara, I know you're not responsible for what the other speakers said today, but on this white sheet that he presented, it does say, basic core values of the Tea Party: fiscal responsibility, constitutionality, liberty, government, and free markets. Are those agreeable to you?
Sure.
And to me too. And I'm also in agreement with John O'Mara's views on the Common Core.
Yes, I just found out about that.
But what is a more social issue than our children and what they're exposed to and how they're educated? Yes, there's an economic side to it because it costs money. But how can you hew to some social issue but not confront others?
Because there's two that are a major problem and all the rest aren't. Common Core, once people understand it, they're gonna understand that you're gonna let the federal government take over. What could possibly go wrong? So I was talking about this week, which will be on our webpage. I agree. There are just two issues we're talking about, not social issues, two issues, and we're not supposed to be
All
talking
right,
about
Ken,
it at all.
Ken,
I think one of the things that we tend to do is we tend to react to what's written in Pravda. I'm sorry, I meant the Boston Globe. Pravda is actually a lot more factual these days. Because if you read that article, what they say, they're going down and they're talking about all these issues, and then they say that the platform says that we should respect people's right to ballot initiatives. They then totally ignore the explicit references in the platform to the tax reduction initiatives that were passed, and they say a seeming reference to the abortion, gay marriage issues, the right of the.
Ken, what's your question?
So no matter, I think the thing is we tend to freak out when the Boston Globe, if those initiatives, if those planks of the platform had been left out, is there anybody here who doubts that the Boston Globe would have said, and they're trying to conceal their real views on these issues?
Yeah, I don't know, why would they have said that? There was
Yeah,
no
They're saying these kind of things about
Patrick.
it regardless.
Yeah, more of a comment than.
Wait, shh.
Just kind of echo the sentiments you're stating. I did go to CPAC, and these thoughts came up.
You did or didn't?
I did go.
Oh, did.
I did go, and there were several panel discussions, basically essentially saying that we all need to work together. That the real common enemy to everything is big government centralizing all these issues, and that is something that the Tea Party can argue with, discuss with social conservatives as well, that the problem is that all these issues, everything, all the control's gone to Washington and above our local level. If you bring all these issues back to the local level, you can work on them there. If they're social issues, there should be a local social issue. It's not a state issue, it's not a federal issue. You need to bring these, and that's a big message about the Tea Party, is you're shrinking government, getting it out, not monitoring our financial transactions, our phones, everything else, not monitoring our lives, period.
And if you haven't seen it, you get online, Sarah Palin's speech at that convention.
I heard it was great.
It was incredible. She is not a great candidate, she's a great political activist who will help us elect the United States Senate.
And to echo that, one comment that she did make that I really, really loved was she was somewhat addressing the Republican establishment, and I don't mean to be combative, but she was saying to the Republican establishment, you know that election sweep in 2010? You didn't build that. The Tea Party did. It was a matter of getting a lot of people who sat on the sidelines out there and active. And that's what the Tea Party really tries to be, is getting those people who are disaffected with the establishment of both sides and coming out and getting them active.
Yeah, Lenny?
To pick up where Pat is rightly brought up, Barbara, I suggest you much too much credibility to the Republican Party. The Tea Party, the Back to Patriots and independents are what's going to win. And I'd ask you, are you going to maybe tour and talk with some of the Tea Party groups, give them the same kind of common sense that you're giving here? I'm sure, for so many years, there were the Democrats and then there was CLT. Those were the only power forces in this state.
With a strong
Will you
alliance.
bring your message to the Tea Party groups, and then they could spread it to the candidates that they're supporting? Just stay away from these losing and loser issues. You will be crucified.
Yeah, well, thanks, but I don't know if anyone's noticed, but I'm getting old. I did retire, but the way it happens is Chip came on 6 months after I did, so I can retire 6 months before he does, so I'm just waiting to hear that he has any interest whatsoever in it. But if I didn't have to help save America for my grandchildren, I could retire, but I'm not running around the state, but who needs to? I'm in touch with John O'Mara, we email all the time.
Sure.
Obviously, I'm now back into the Tea Party. I went over to my first meeting in Peabody, and also to the Common Core meeting after I got heads up on it, and that was, they're right, you have to hear this woman speak. But, and they're talking to each other, and some of them are CLT members, so certainly the Tea Party leaders are all, I think, inclined to get in sync now. So is the Republican Party, and it used to be a lot more conservative Republicans, a lot more conservative Democrats. We had a good team in the legislature. We can't get along without our Republican friend, like Lenny Mira, who's often here at this conference, and Jeff Deal, and Sean certainly. So the Republicans have a role to play here. And the fact that they, as a party, agree with the Tea Party. I mean, was there anything in that platform the Tea Party wouldn't support? So I think that we, instead of saying it's the Tea Party instead of the Republicans, or let's not work with those rhinos, or let us all work together for a common goal, which is winning the election. So I have nothing bad to say about the Republican Party as a whole, or Republicans certainly, only with this small group.
Mr. Cowett?
Yeah, so I guess I have a couple of quick questions. First of all, in the interest of full disclosure, I'm one of that small group of people who voted for this platform. That small group of You're welcome. That small group of people is 65% of the state committee, near a supermajority.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, let me just take, you can come back. I found out what happened, okay, and it was the fault of the establishment Republicans. This is what I was told by an insider that I think really knows what she's talking about. She said that the conservative Republicans, that the social conservatives, would have wanted to put this into the platform, and the platform was done. So to make sure that didn't happen, the establishment Republicans put in a rule that said that the platform, when it comes up at the convention, can't be decided there. They won't have a vote on it. The regular Republicans who ran in those caucuses and won't get a chance to vote on the platform, and that's what the establishment Republicans did in order to stop the social conservatives from putting in language that's there now. What went wrong, and apparently under the radar screen, was that the social conservatives took over the Republican Party in the last election. So suddenly they're in there, they're the ones who can put in whatever language they want, and they had tougher language than this. So the establishment Republicans, I'm just using that as a way to distinguish, negotiated with him, trying not to put stronger language on abortion and gay marriage into the platform. And they got the negotiation done, they thought, calmed it down by using this more sensitive language. And then the ones who did the negotiating, which was my state committee, I'd say if I were a Republican, the one who represents my district, she felt that since they negotiated, they really had to go along with what the negotiation was. And they convinced the rest of the Republican state committee who wouldn't have supported this, to go along with it, to be nice to the people who had negotiated. Now this is the same argument that a lot of people don't like about Scott Brown when he went along with Dodd-Frank. He had to negotiate to save Fidelity from much worse language. So once he negotiated with Barney Frank and managed to fix the language so it didn't kill our top industry, then he felt he had to vote for it. I can understand the argument both times, so there you are. But that's what happened. It wasn't that 65% of the state committee supports this language. It's that they felt it was better than what could have happened. And then they got themselves in a corner where the rest of them felt.
Jim, you had a question?
Hang on a minute. I find it very interesting that you seem to know more about what happened in the state committee. We've got 3 state committee members here. Helen's over there, Brendan's right here, I'm here. I think, Helen, you voted for the platform, right? Of course. Right. The 3 of us all voted for this. This is not something that was shoved down our throats. I don't agree with aspects of this platform. I think all of us felt like there were aspects of this platform, whether it's the places you have issues with, I have issues in some of those places and in other places, but it's a compromise. It's a compromise that was supported, once again, by 65% of the state committee and 75% of the state committee that bothered to show up to the meeting.
It will be opposed by 85% of the population who's voting. So what did you accomplish?
Jim.
Okay, at the end of the day, we need to learn how to drive the agenda, not the liberal swell press, okay? I don't know if any liberal swell press here, but yeah, that's what we're talking about. And we need candidates who can articulate what the heck they stand for and what they're running on. Now, number 2 is, whatever's in the platform, then it's in the platform. And, just by the demographics alone, when the Tea Party don't show up, you lose. When the evangelicals don't show up, you lose. So instead of kowtowing with all these social issues and everything else, down to say, oh yeah, look at what Gabriel Gomez did. He stuck the finger in the nose of everybody and blasted.
All right, maybe just one or two more questions. Yeah, Joyce?
What I wanted to say was, I understand that Republicans are so particularly interested in freedom and in the Constitution, but the Constitution says you pick your own religion. And this platform does not represent me. And it doesn't represent 85% of the people.
You mean
And
that section of the platform, the value section?
Yes, those two things do not represent me. I totally agree they don't represent 85%, but I think it's a sham. It's somebody trying to put their religion on you. The Constitution says you pick your own religion, and it shouldn't be in the platform.
All right, we haven't heard from Helen. Helen?
As a member of the state committee, honestly, I was really disgusted by the discussion that happened before the platform was adopted. I was really unhappy to see member after member get up and highlight the social issues with the press there, when there were all these other good issues that you brought up that were not addressed at all. And where the press was there, I thought that was really bad on the part of the quote-unquote establishment that were trying to promote the other side on these issues, for going up there and highlighting it person after person after person, rather than doing the right thing, ignoring those issues. Let the press find them in there if they could even figure it out, because you know they don't read. And talking about these other issues, which are supposed to be so important to us. Who was wrong in that whole process? I ask you,
All right.
who was wrong to highlight these
One-
issues for the press?
All right, one more, Dean, and then we gotta go.
I think it's important to remember that this discussion overall, in my view, is about tactics. It was a tactical mistake for both the establishment and anti-establishment at the state committee to bring this up in an election year. That being said, all sides have a right to voice their opinion, represent their constituents, and bring forth a point of view. But when you're down to the fourth quarter, and it could be the last election in America, in Commonwealth as we know it, you have to think tactically, right? And I blame that and hold the establishment leadership accountable for bringing up the vote when they did. This could have been settled at meeting after meeting, talking ad nauseum about it. This should have been done last year. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Barbara, thank you.